Welcome to our stream for today. And this time we get into lesson 3, the new start of the new adventure, right? And so this time we're going to be talking a bit about food and candy, right? And so start by talking about our situation. So our situation is you finally get a chance to visit this restaurant you've been waiting to go see and go try out, right? And it's a soup noodle place. And ooh, it looks so good. And so you're waiting for your food, you're really excited to try it, and oh my God, his thumb is in your soup, and could be a disaster. But as we saw in our first personality, sometimes it's okay to just forget about it. Don't worry so much. It's just a thumb in your soup. It's not, it shouldn't be too dirty, I hope, right? So his thumb's in your soup, but you're actually more concerned about the owner, right? Did he burn his thumb? Is his thumb okay? And then you go forward into your adventure going to the candy shop, right? Oh, that food was really good, even though his thumb was in it. It doesn't matter. Even though his thumb was in it, it still tasted good. And then you go on an adventure to a candy shop, and we meet our friend Bob. And Bob is trying out some candy too, right? And to start out, let's talk about some traditional candies that you guys like and I like. So some of the candies that are in Taiwan are quite different than some traditional candies in America. I'm sure you know a lot of like famous candies from the US, like M&Ms, Skittles, what else is there? But those are the big ones, right? M&Ms and Skittles. But there's some that probably never came to Taiwan. There's some called Tootsie Rolls. There's these little black chocolates that are really chewy. And those are pretty good. They're called Tootsie Rolls. And there are things called Tootsie Pops. So it's a lollipop with a Tootsie Roll on the inside. So sweet fruit flavor on the outside, chocolate candy on the inside. And then there's some really old traditional stuff. Like there's one thing called UFOs when I was a kid. And they look like alien spaceships. Just kind of like a weird soft cracker. And inside there were like small little candies, and you could shake it and it would go kind of a weird thing, right? And then in our dialogue, we had 2 candies that were popular in Taiwan and in the United States. There were peach rings. Peach rings are really good. They're these gummy candies that taste like peach. And then we had Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks is what people in America will call the candy, and the candy that pops in your mouth. Pop, pop, pop. So we call them Pop Rocks, right? And I think a lot of you probably ate those when you were a kid, just under a different name. The Chinese is what? Jump candy, right? So lots of candy involved in this lesson, and candy's pretty good, but don't eat too much, right? Even though candy tastes good, you shouldn't eat too much, right? So let's get started. We're talking about the phrase or the word even, and then we talk about the phrase even though and even if, and then we talk about but ... anyway, or but still something, or yet you could also use. And then what else do we have? And then yeah, that's it. 3 as usual, and then we have our conversation at the end, right? So even though, even if, and then but still, or but anyway, or even but still anyway, okay? So we'll get into it piece by piece. Let's get started with lesson 3, conversation 1, our positive personality, part 2, okay? Where we talk about the word even. Now, the word even is used to add emphasis, make something stronger, right? So, oh, I can't believe it, or that's ridiculous, or wow, it's amazing, okay? So even is a really useful word, and you can put it in front of the word it's emphasizing, right? Okay, so first up, let's get straight into our work, and the first sentence is 我真的很害羞，我甚至不敢跟女生说话。Oh, so shy. Oh my gosh. Shy. So The way I would translate this, my first reaction is, I'm really shy. I can't even talk to girls. Okay? That would be the go-to answer for me. So I can't even talk to girls. I can't even do that. I'm so shy. And then you could also translate this as, I'm even scared of talking to girls. So the focus is a little bit different. It's focusing on being scared of it. You could also say, if you want to translate more directly, you could say, I don't even dare speaking to girls. Now, if you say this one, don't even dare, that is correct, and it's a direct translation, right? Taking the Chinese and going straight to English. And the grammar is correct, it is okay, but it sounds a bit formal. So if someone says, I don't dare, it sounds rather formal, okay? In conversational English, day-to-day English, people would say, I can't even talk to girls, or I'm even scared of talking to girls, okay? So, I don't dare to do something sounds a bit formal, okay? So, a note for everybody, as usual, this needs to be 2 sentences. So you need a exclamation point separating the 2 ideas. And this comes up again and again throughout all these questions again. If you have 2 ideas in Chinese, if you want them to be, if it's 2 ideas, you need to have 2 sentences. If you want to make it into 1 sentence, you need a conjunction, a word that connects them. So you cannot put 2 ideas with a comma unless you have and, or, but, or another word to connect the 2, okay? So this will come up again and again. So here, you need to remember we have 2 sentences. I'm really shy, exclamation. I can't even talk to girls, exclamation, okay? And the first sentence you can say many different ways. I'm really shy. I'm very shy. I'm super shy. I'm extremely shy. Anything, okay? So the 真的 in Chinese, there are many ways to translate that. And then, I can't even talk to girls. So, I think we've discussed this before, but if one person is talking to someone, the words are going from me to them. So I can't even talk to girls. Maybe the girls talk to me and I go, you get scared. I can't even talk to girls. Now, some people wrote talk with. Talk with is more like having a conversation. And it sounds a little bit more serious, like talking with someone means it sounds a bit more formal, like you're having a more serious conversation, talking with someone. Oh, I had to talk with my boss or something like that. But if you're just talking to a person on the street, you'd say, oh, I talked to him or I talked to my friend. Using the word with, talk with, sounds a little more heavy, a little more serious, okay? Also, I don't even talk to girls is what a couple students wrote. And this one, the meaning is a little bit different. It means that you don't ever talk to girls. I don't even talk to girls. That means just like a regular day, you don't talk to girls. But if we're focusing on that he's shy, we want to use words to show that they're shy. I can't talk to girls, like, oh, or I don't dare talking to girls, or I'm scared of talking to girls. Saying, I don't talk to girls, or I don't even talk to girls, sounds like you just maybe you don't want to. It doesn't show the shyness part, okay? And then I also saw a couple of people say, I can't even talk to a girl, one. We want to add S to girls, make it girls to mean all girls. Like if this person has a problem with being shy, they can't talk to any girl. So I'm even scared talking to girls, meaning all of them, not just one, okay? So, and the last one I said was, I don't even dare speaking to girls. That's a little bit formal. It's okay, but it's a little bit formal. But remember, if you have don't dare, the even goes in the middle. Don't even dare. So the even will go in front of the most important verb. It's going in front of the verb that it's changing. So I don't even dare. So I saw a couple people say, I even don't dare, or I even don't talk. So you need to make sure the even is in front of the most important verb. Like, I don't even dare, I don't even talk, okay? Make sure you be careful of where the even goes. And then I also saw afraid. So I said, I'm even scared of talking to girls. You could also say, I'm even afraid of talking to girls. That's totally fine too. Scared and afraid mean the same thing, okay? So it needs to be, I'm even afraid. Remember, even goes in front of the word it's changing. So I'm afraid, I'm even afraid. You don't need to say, even I'm afraid. That changes the meaning. So if you say, even I'm afraid, that means many people are afraid, and I'm usually brave, but it's a surprise that I am afraid. So the even goes in front of the word it's making more strong. So if you say, oh, there was a scary dog over there. I love dogs, but seeing that dog, even I was afraid. So that means lots of people were afraid. Usually I'm brave, but in this situation, even I was afraid. Like, it's a surprise, okay? So if you put even in front of I'm, it changes the meaning. So put even in front of the word you're making stronger. I'm even afraid of girls, okay? Let's keep on going. 他笑得太厉害，甚至从椅子上跌下来。Oh, whoa! So maybe this has happened to you or happened to a friend of yours. So I translated this as, he laughed like crazy. He even fell out of his seat. So, oh my gosh, he laughed like crazy. He even fell out of his seat. You could also say, he even fell out of his chair. So both are okay. Seat is talking about where you are sitting, and chair means the piece of furniture, the thing. So your seat is where your butt goes. The chair is the describing the thing you are sitting on. So both are okay. Fell out of your seat, fell out of your chair, okay? And so, again, this needs to be two sentences. He laughed like crazy, period. He even fell out of his chair, exclamation point, or period, or whatever. Okay? So in Chinese is one sentence, in English, two, unless you put a word like and to connect it, okay? So the first part, you can translate a few different ways. He laughed like crazy. He laughed really hard. He laughed so hard, blah, 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 stuff like that. I saw a few other ones, like he laughed too crazy. We wouldn't use too, because too means it's more than usual. Like, maybe you think crazy is okay, but too crazy, something bad happens. So we don't want to use too here, but maybe he laughed like crazy, or he laughed so crazy that something happened. Or he laughed too much is one I also saw. But what is too much laughing? Too much sounds like it's a problem, right? So if you say it's too crazy or too much, it sounds like he's laughing and it's a problem. But we don't think laughing is a bad thing, right? But we're just talking about he laughed so much. It was surprising, okay? I also saw he laughed out loud. He laughed out loud. He even fell out of his seat. But laughed out loud just means ha ha ha. You laugh out loud. It's not focusing on being really, really crazy or intense, right? So I would say something like he laughed so loud. Maybe focus on that it's a lot, or like an extreme amount, okay? And I also saw he laughed hardly. Now this is something you need to be careful about. Hardly, so people think if it's describing a verb, you need to add ly. But the word hard is a tricky one. If you're describing a verb, you still don't put ly. You'd say, he laughed hard. So he laughed hard, and he fell out of his chair. If you say he laughed hardly, hardly with an ly means only a little bit. Meaning like, you'd say, he hardly laughed. So maybe he was like this. That would mean hardly laughed. Only a tiny bit, okay? And then I use the word seat. So the seat means where you're sitting, right? Seat, sit. Where your butt goes is where your seat. So when you're sitting in a chair, you can call that space, the place is your seat. So you sit in a seat. A lot of people use the word down or off. But for a seat, you sit in a seat and you get out of a seat. So it's a little bit tricky. The seat is the place where you sit, and you sit in a seat or you get out of a seat. So if we're using the word seat, I would say he fell out of his seat. That's a little bit of a tricky one. I don't think anyone got that, so don't worry about it. But seat means the place where your butt is. And so you sit in a seat, you fall out of it, okay? And one thing to notice is to make sure to use the past tense in this sentence. So we want to say he laughed with an ed, and he fell out of his seat, okay? Because we're talking about something you saw happen before. It's not happening right now, right? You saw it happen maybe like 2 minutes ago. That's still in the past, right? If you use the present tense, a lot of people use the present tense. He laughs like crazy. He falls out of his seat. Now, if you do this, that means it's a habit. And a habit means that it happens again and again and again. So it's not wrong, but the meaning is very different. If we use the past tense, we're talking about one time it happened. It happened 2 minutes ago. He laughed so hard, he fell out of his seat. If you say he laughs so hard, he falls out of his seat, you're talking about something he does all the time. Maybe every day he goes crazy laughing and falls out of his seat, okay? So the present tense is something that happens again and again, okay? So like I said fell out of his seat or fell out of his chair. That's okay too. You could also say fell off of his chair. So you're on a chair, you could fall off of a chair. That's okay too. But a lot of people use fell down. So fell down from his chair. Falling down from something sounds like it's something tall. So maybe if you're on a ladder is the thing you climb. If you fall down from a ladder, it sounds like you fall pretty far. But a chair is not very high up. So we don't really fall down from it because you're not going that far. So usually for a chair, you'd say fell out of a chair or fell off of a chair, okay? I would use fell out of because you're in your chair, you're in your seat, you fall out of your seat, okay? So that one's a little bit tricky. I don't know if anyone got the word out, but that's okay. That's why we do this, right? Okay. So the next sentence is 台湾很热，但新加坡还要更热. Oh, like today. Today was super hot here, but Singapore probably even hotter, right? So my translation is Taiwan's really hot, but Singapore is even hotter. Okay, so keep it simple. Taiwan's really hot, but Singapore is even hotter. There's another way to say this. You could flip it around and say it's really hot in Taiwan, but it's even hotter in Singapore. That's fine too. So again, the third time's the charm. You need two sentences unless you use a conjunction. So I use a conjunction. I use the word but. So Taiwan's really hot, comma, but Singapore is even hotter. There are many students who said Taiwan's really hot, Singapore is even hotter, with just a comma. If you have a comma, you need a word to connect the two. Okay, so here would be but. Okay, and you could also say the weather is hot in Taiwan. That's fine too. And then I said Taiwan's really hot, and as usual, really, you could make it into anything. I saw people say Taiwan is ridiculously hot. That's okay, but it's making it super, super, super hot. Really hot is really hot. Ridiculously hot is out of the camera. You can't even see it. So ridiculous means it's so hot, it's ridiculous. You can't even understand, okay? So you're saying it very strong if you use the word ridiculous, okay? And then Singapore is even hotter. I saw someone say Singapore might be even hotter. That's not wrong, but this is changing the meaning. By using the word might, you're saying you're not exactly sure. If you use is, Singapore is even hotter, that means we know it is even hotter. If you say it might be even hotter, you think so, but you're not sure, okay? And then I saw even it's hotter. Like I said before, even needs to go before the word it's changing. So it should be it's even hotter. Even it's hotter changes the meaning, okay? And then I saw is even scorching more. Now, if you have more with an adjective, more has to go first. So you could say it is even more scorching. Scorching means super, super hot, okay? And then one I saw even hotter than Singapore. Now this you need to be careful. So even hotter than Singapore would mean that Taiwan is hotter than Singapore. So be careful of what you're describing. We want to say Singapore is even hotter. And we're imagining the words than Taiwan. So Singapore is even hotter than Taiwan. So, and then we don't need the words than Taiwan because you're understanding that, okay? Let's get to the next one. 你说你爱我，但你连我的生日都不记得. Too bad. So sad. Hopefully this doesn't happen to you. So, this sentence, I would write it as, you say you love me, but you can't even remember my birthday. Oh, so sad. You can't even remember my birthday. What the heck? What is this? So, everybody did a really good job on this question. Most of you were almost exactly right. This one was probably the easiest of the four. Only a couple notes. The big note to remember is I use the present tense. You say you love me, but you can't even remember my birthday. So why would I use the present tense? Because you say it, meaning you have said it again and again. It's not only a one-time thing, or we're not just talking about one time, or in my imagination. It depends on how you're thinking of this situation. To me, I'm thinking of these two people are in a relationship, and one person says it again and again. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. So you say you love me. You've said it many times. It's a habit, right? So that's why I use present simple. But you can't even remember my birthday. And I use present tense because it's a truth. It's just a fact. You can't even remember my birthday. So I use present to mean it's a habit that you say you love me, and you can't remember my birthday. It's a fact. It's a truth, okay? You could also use the past tense. So many people use past tense for this. You said you love me, but you couldn't even remember my birthday. Now, this is making it more specific, talking about one time, right? You said you love me that one time. Remember, it happened in the past and it's finished. But you couldn't even remember my birthday. Maybe I'm thinking of one time you forgot my birthday, okay? So present and past changes the meaning. Both are okay, both could be right, depending on what you're trying to say, okay? And I said, you can't even remember my birthday. That's focusing on that they're unable to remember it. Maybe they're trying to remember, but they always forget. So you could also say, you don't even remember my birthday, meaning that you just don't. You don't remember. You don't have it in your head, right? And then a few people said, you didn't even remember or you even forgot my birthday. Those are both okay, but that's talking about one time before. Maybe my birthday happened and you forgot. So forgetting is usually like one occurrence, one time it happened. So my birthday happened, you didn't give me anything, you didn't say happy birthday, you forgot. You even forgot my birthday. But if it's just like, I ask you now and you can't think of it, or you just don't know, I could say, you can't even remember, or you don't even remember. Oh, how dare you? So terrible, right? Let's keep moving. If you have a question, please leave a message in the chat and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. So, lesson 3, part 3. This is where we get into even though and even if. So, in spoken English, day-to-day use, even though, even if, are basically the same. The way people use them is the same almost all the time. And so if you use one or the other, don't worry about it. Being understood is most important. But the grammar rules tell you a slight difference, right? So most of the time they're the same, but there's a slight feeling of difference. Even though suggests that something is real and it's really happening. And then even if is we're imagining a situation. So maybe it's not true yet, right? So based on, is this really happening or is it something you're imagining? You could use even though or even if, okay? But if you use even though or even if and switch them out, most people won't notice the difference. It's okay. Day-to-day conversation doesn't matter. Okay. So the first sentence is, 就算你老了，我还是会爱你. Oh, Grandpa. Oh, you're still so handsome. Okay. So I translate this as, even though you're getting older, I still love you. Okay. So this is saying it's really happening. It's happening to you. Oh my gosh. Even though you're getting older, I still love you. But this is not something to worry about. It happens to everybody. Everybody gets older, right? So here we can use even if or even though. Both of them would be fine. Even if you're getting older, I still love you. But to follow the rules saying that this is really happening, we want to use even though, okay? So even though you're getting older, I still love you. And then you're getting older. I use the continuous tense because it's still happening. It will not stop happening, unfortunately. Maybe you could take medicine to make you stay 22 for the rest of your life. That would be great, but doesn't exist. We're all getting older. So ing means it's still happening, okay? I also saw you're growing old. That's okay. Also, it's continuous, saying it's still happening. But growing old sounds a little bit more formal. It's totally fine. It works. It sounds a little like you're being nicer to the person. Saying you're getting older is a little bit direct. Saying, oh, you're growing old or growing older is being a little more formal, so it sounds more polite, okay? But it's fine. And so I said you're getting older because you're getting a little bit older day by day, right? And that's natural. A few of you said you are getting old. Now, this is a little bit more direct. If you say you're getting old, it sounds like the person is just old already. So if someone's going from 30 to 31, you could say you're getting older. But if you say you're getting old, maybe they're turning 65. Okay? So getting old sounds like the person's really getting pretty old. Okay? And then same thing if you say even though you are old. So this is telling the person they are old already. So getting older means you're changing slowly, but saying you are old, it's maybe if you think you love someone who's 85 years old and you say, oh, even though you are old, I still love you. Maybe you say this to your great-grandpa or something. So if you use just the word old, you're getting old or you are old, it sounds like the person is pretty old. But using older, it means like it's slowly happening, okay? And I also saw even though you are older. So this means there's a difference between us. So by saying getting older, we're focusing on the change. And it doesn't have anything to do with me. But if I say, even though you are older, that means I'm this age, you're this age. You're older than me. So the meaning is different. Okay? And then I also saw, even though you get old. Everyone gets old, right? But we're talking to one person, and so we want to use the continuous to say this person is getting older. If you say, even though you get old, that's talking to like everybody and saying, this is a truth. Everybody gets old. You get old. And so what? Okay? And then in the second part, I still love you. Even though you're getting older, I still love you. This could also be I will still love you. Both are fine. So I still love you. That means right now I still love you. I will still love you, or I'll still love you means in the future I will still love you. Okay? The meaning is slightly different. Both are okay. Okay? And then keep going. 即使你没说，我也懂你的意思. So this one, I translated it as, even though you didn't say anything, I understood what you meant. So, again, using even if or even though. Both are fine, but here we're talking about something happened. Maybe the person was doing something, they didn't say anything, but you still understand what they think or what they feel, or yeah, you get the idea. So if it really happened, you would use even though. Even if would be okay, but that would be saying it hasn't happened yet, but I'm imagining it. Like, even if you don't say anything, I will understand what you mean. So that would change the meaning a little bit. So that would mean I'm imagining it. But in the Chinese, we have 你没说. It sounds like it already happened. It was in the past. So use even though, meaning it really happened. Okay? Even though you didn't say anything, I understood what you meant. So again, use past tense. Even though you didn't say anything. So didn't showing that it happened before. I understood what you meant. So back then, I understood. So past tense. And what you meant. So what you were trying to say, meant being the past tense. So what you mean would be present tense. What you meant, M-E-A-N-T, means past tense. Okay? So like I said before, even though you didn't say anything, I use didn't because past tense. Didn't say anything. And anything because no words came out of their mouth. So if no words come out, you can use the word anything, which we've learned before. And so a few people said, even though you didn't say it, but we don't know what it is. There's no it. You didn't say it, meaning there's some sentence I expect you to say, but you didn't say anything. So there were no words coming from you. I didn't need to hear anything from you, okay? And so the second part, I said, I understood what you meant. You could also say, I knew what you meant, or I could understand what you meant, okay? I saw, I get your mean, or so mean is a verb. You want to say meaning. And so I get your meaning, that is present tense. But you could say, I got your meaning, but it's better to say, I understood what you meant, okay? I got your meaning is not a very common phrase. It's better to say, I understood or I knew what you meant, okay? Keep going. The next one is, 虽然你煮的菜很难吃，我还是吃完了。So full. So I wrote this as, even though the food you made was bad, I still finished it. But I'm still hungry. Okay? So, again, this really happened, so we use even though. So even though the food you made was bad, I still finished it. So I said the food you made. Keep it simple. The food you made. Okay? You could also say your cooking, even though your cooking was bad. But a lot of times in conversation, people will just say the food you made. Keep it simple. Okay? A few people said your dishes or the dishes you cooked. That is okay, but again, it sounds formal. And in day-to-day conversation, people would just say the food you made or your cooking. The dishes sounds like you're maybe at a restaurant and you're talking to the chef. It sounds a little bit more formal, okay? So day-to-day conversation, people don't use the word dish very often unless they're talking about plates, right? So if I serve you food, I would call it food. I wouldn't call it a dish unless I'm trying to be formal, okay? And then I said, even though the food you made was bad, because past tense, right? It's already finished. It was bad because I already ate it. It's all finished. It's all gone, okay? So past tense was. Then I saw people use is and tastes. The food you made tastes bad or is bad. That is present tense, but the food is already gone. I already ate it, so we want to use past tense. I also saw you had terrible cooking. You don't have cooking. It would be your cooking was terrible, okay? Or you are a bad cook, something like that. You don't have cooking. So like we've learned the word have before and what things you can have. And cooking is not something you can have, okay? You have cooking. It just sounds a little bit off. You would say you're cooking. And then you could use bad or terrible, both are okay. And then the second part, I said, I still finished it. I ate it all. That's fine. And I saw finish, present tense, but again, it already happened. The food's gone, so we need past tense with ed. Finished. I also saw eat them up. You meant past tense, ate them up. I ate them up. But ate them up means different little things. Maybe there were cookies and I ate them up. So it suggests that you enjoy something if you eat it up. Be careful with the phrase eat it up or eat something up is a good one, but it usually means you enjoy something and you eat it really quickly. Like you can use that actually to describe something you really like. Oh, there were really lots of good TV shows on Netflix this year. I ate them up, meaning you watched them all and you really enjoyed them, right? So eat them up suggests that something is good, okay? I also saw people use although. We've learned although before. Even though and although are the same meaning, except even though is stronger, okay? It's making it focused on that it's like a surprising thing. So even though the food you made was bad, I still finished it. You could change even though with although, it's fine, but even though makes it more surprising, okay? Next up is 虽然常吵架，我们感情还是很好。Oh, so maybe you know somebody that's like this. They're in a relationship and So I translate this as, even though we argue a lot, our relationship is still really good. So I wrote it as we argue a lot. I also saw we often argue. That's totally fine. And then argue means fight with words. So if you want to make it clear that you're fighting with words like arguing, use the word argue. You could use the word fight. Even though we fight a lot, our relationship is still really good. And that's fine. It's very common for people to use fight to mean argue. But argue is definitely only words, so it makes it more clear. So fighting and argue are both okay. I saw a few people use quarrel, even though we quarrel a lot. Now, quarrel is a kind of formal word. Maybe, I think this is probably more common in British English, but in American English, people very rarely use the word quarrel. Quarrel, Q-U-A-R-R-E-L, quarrel. That means to fight, but in American English, it's not very common. Usually you'd see it in books or stories. So, oh, they were quarreling about blah, blah, blah. But day to day, you could use fight or argue, okay? And I said we argue a lot, but you could say we often argue, right? But a few people use we usually argue, we always argue, or we argue all the time. Now, that is making it way more intense. So a lot or often, it's kind of a lot. It happens. But if you say usually, that means most of the time. If you say always, that means maybe every day. If you say all the time, meaning you're always fighting, right? So using usually, always, or all the time is making this really, really intense. How could you have a good relationship if you're always arguing? So I'd say a lot or often, maybe it's somewhere in the middle, but if you use usually or always, it's a little bit too much, okay? And then the second part, I said our relationship is still really good. So you could also say we have a good relationship. That's okay. We are in a good relationship. All of these are okay. I saw we're close. Close is not wrong, but the meaning is different. Close means like you are like close friends. But we're talking about a relationship, maybe boyfriend and girlfriend, and they have a good relationship. So being close, you could be close with your friends, close with your family. It's more general, okay? Same with we are in a close relationship. Same idea, it's more general. That could be with anybody. It doesn't necessarily mean your boyfriend or girlfriend. But for love relationships, we'd say we're in a good relationship, okay? Or we have a good relationship. So you want to say we are in or we have, okay? We would not say we be in a good relationship, and you would not say we keep good relationship. You'd have to say we have a good relationship or we are in a good relationship, okay? And then even though is the same as although is the same as though, right? Even though just makes it stronger, like we said before. But be careful of your spelling. I saw a couple people write thought. Take the word though and add a T at the end. If you add that T, it changes the word to thought, meaning thinking. I had a thought. One time you think about something. So be careful of your spelling. Sometimes your spell check will not tell you if it's the wrong word. Sometimes if you have an extra letter, it's still a real word. So you got to be very careful. Read what you write before you click send, right? We all need to do better about that. So keep on going. Move on to part 4, okay? We're learning but, still, and but anyway, or but still anyway, or yet, okay? Now, most people use the word but. You could use the word yet in any of these sentences, but yet is a little more formal sounding. Day-to-day English people generally just use but. Oh, blah, 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 but, blah, 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 blah. Yet is a little bit less common. And both are totally fine. So if you want to sound a little bit more formal, you could use yet, okay? So I encourage you to use words you like. Just try to use them to make people understand what you're saying, right? Okay. Next, the first sentence is 你脾气很差，但我还是爱你。Oh, baby. maybe it's the same couple from our last sentence. Oh my gosh, they argue a lot. So here, in our next sentence, we say, you have a bad temper, but I still love you anyway. Oh. So the first part of the sentence is, you have a bad temper. So temper means how quickly you get angry. So if someone has a good temper, that means they control their emotions, they control their feelings. Someone has a bad temper, they have very little control and they get angry easily. Okay? So you have a bad temper. So a bad temper. So each person has one temper, so we say a bad temper. Okay? So make sure you have the word there. I saw a few people leave it out. I also saw someone say, you have a short fuse. That's great. So this is a phrase that means someone gets angry really quickly. So you have a bad temper or you have a short fuse, both okay. And then usually for temper, we talk about someone has a temper because it's a characteristic about that person, something about them. So you have a bad temper. I saw some people write, your temper is bad. It's not wrong, but it's more common to say you have a bad temper, okay? A bad temper or a good temper, those are pretty common words that go together, okay? So we'd say you have a bad temper more often than saying your temper is bad, okay? But I still love you anyway. So I use the word still because it continues, and anyway shows that there's a contrast, there's a difference. You have a bad temper, but who cares? Forget it. I still love you anyway. So still, it continues. Anyway means the first thing, doesn't matter. And if you want, you could use just still, but I still love you. Or you could just use anyway, but I love you anyway. All three ways are the same, or they're almost the same meaning, just very slightly different feelings of the words and feelings of the sentence. So I think everyone got that pretty well. So the next one is something that, this is not true for me. I cannot get used to stinky tofu. So maybe you guys, this is true for you, but not for me. Our sentence is, 臭豆腐很臭，但我还是很爱吃。Maybe you feel this way, but for me, no, not really. So this sentence I would translate as, stinky tofu smells really bad, but I'd love to eat it anyway. And then, if you want to have some fun, you could say, stinky tofu stinks, but I love to eat it anyway. So I would recommend saying the first sentence, probably. Stinky tofu smells really bad. Because usually you don't want to repeat the same word again and again in a sentence. It's better, it makes it easier to understand if you change the words with other words that mean the same thing. Stinky tofu smells really bad. It's fun and kind of silly to say, stinky tofu stinks. But, yeah. But repeating the same word, it can be fun, but it can be a little bit confusing sometimes, okay? So you can say that if you're having fun. So remember, stinky tofu. You cannot count tofu. So tofu, do not add an S. So we're just talking about stinky tofu in general. So no S, okay? And I say, stinky tofu smells really bad. You could also say it is stinky. It is stinky. Or use the verb, it stinks, okay? Or you could say it is very smelly. Or it smells terrible. Terrible is stronger than smells bad, okay? So all of those are fine. And then our connecting word is but, our conjunction. You could also use the word yet. Yet is fine. You could also use and yet, right? We could use but, yet, or and yet. All of them work in the same way, okay? Stinky tofu smells really bad, and yet I love to eat it anyway. That's fine, okay? So, I love to eat it. So, remember, we need the word it. I love to eat it. eat needs to be followed by the object. I love to eat it. Okay? If you say I love to eat, a lot of you wrote I love to eat or I like to eat. That's too general. That just means I love eating, eating anything. But if we're talking about stinky tofu, you need an object. You need to say I love to eat it or I love to eat stinky tofu. Okay? So if we're talking about one thing, you need to use an object like it. Okay? And then, like I said with stinky tofu, you cannot add an S. You can't count tofu. So it needs to be I love to eat it, it. You cannot say I love to eat them because you can't count tofu. And I know there can be pieces of tofu, but tofu in general, we don't count. Okay? Next up. 英文很难，但我还是想要学下去. Yeah, I hope so. Go, 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 go. You can do it. So I translate this as English is difficult, but I still want to continue studying it. Okay. So this is something I hope all of you say every day. Well, hopefully you don't say the English is difficult part. Hopefully it's getting easier. I hope every day it gets a little bit easier, right? So you can just generally use the word English here. English is difficult or English is hard. Both of them are fine. Difficult and hard are basically the same. So you could also say learning English is difficult. So English is difficult, meaning the language is difficult, or learning English is difficult, meaning learning it is difficult, the process, okay? So both are fine. The meaning is just a tiny bit different, or the focus is different. Are you focusing on the language is hard, English, or learning it, the process is hard? Learning English is hard, okay? So here they both work. The focus is a little bit different, okay? But I still want to continue studying it. So I used continue to mean like don't stop. I don't want to stop. I still want to continue studying it, okay? So there are many different ways people wrote this part saying, I still want to learn it. That's okay. I still want to carry on to learn. Close, but you want to change it to, I want to carry on learning it. So learning, ing, because you're continuing to do it, right? And carry on, that's totally fine, but it's a little bit more of a British English phrase. Carry on doing something. Americans don't often use carry on. Oh, carry on learning or continue learning. Americans would prefer continue, okay? But carry on is totally okay. The phrase keep calm and carry on became very popular recently, and that comes from England, right? Okay. I want to continue studying it. I want to continue learning it. Okay? All of those are okay. I saw insist to study. I still want to insist to study. Insist means you say you must do it. Like you're telling someone, you have to let me study. So insist doesn't work here very well. Insist means like someone is telling you to stop, but you're saying, I definitely will. So no one's telling you to stop studying English, especially me. I'm telling you, you can do it. Keep going, okay? Here, I said, English is difficult, but I still want to continue studying it. A couple students used, instead of but, they said even though. So English is difficult, even though I still want to continue studying it. Now, by saying that, you're saying that wanting to continue studying it is not important. So be careful. We want to use but here. But means they're both important. English is difficult, but I still want to continue studying it. If you say English is difficult, even though I still want to continue studying it, saying that this part is less important. So you got to be careful about using even though. Here we want to use but, because the second part is actually the most important part. I still want to continue. You can do it. Okay? And I also saw, I still want to do it anyway. Now, using the word do, you can use do this verb for many different situations, but here for English, we wouldn't use do English. You want to use study or learn, okay? So be careful. Do is good for some situations, but here for a language, you want to use a specific verb like study or learn, okay? Now, move on to our dialogue. So you and Bob at a candy shop. Ooh, do you like that? Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. So candy shops are pretty fun to visit, but you got to control yourself, right? So sometimes you get a craving and you just eat too much candy. Well, that happens to me. I have a sweet tooth sometimes. Do you have a sweet tooth? What candy do you lose control? Do you crave chocolate? Do you crave fruity candies? What about you? Okay, so our first sentence is 就算我知道吃太多糖不好，我还是渴望吃甜甜圈. Okay. So, you know the right thing, but you can't stop yourself. Oh, I need it. So, the way I wrote the sentence is, even though I know it's bad to eat too many sweets, I still crave donuts. You could also write it, we've learned too much sugar before, right? So you could write it as, even though I know it's bad to eat too much sugar, I still have a craving for donuts. So I would prefer too many sweets in this situation. They're both okay, but I would prefer too many sweets. Talking about sweet foods, like desserts or sweet snacks. So even though I know it's bad to eat too many sweets, I still crave donuts. So crave here is a verb. I crave donuts, meaning you want it. You want to eat it. You really, really can't get enough of it, okay? So you could say it's bad to eat too many sweets. You could say it's bad to eat too much sugar. So many sweets, because you can count them. Too much sugar, you can't count sugar, okay? I did see a few people say too many candy or too much candy. Now be careful. You can't use the word candy here. Sometimes in Chinese, the word tang can mean candy. But in English, a donut is not candy. A candy means it's made of sugar. So donuts are actually a pastry. It's made of dough. It has lots of sugar inside, but it's actually made of dough. So it's not candy. Candy means it's made of sugar. Donuts have sugar, but it's not made of sugar. Okay? So you have to be careful. The first part needs to match the second part. The second part says donut, so we know it can't be candy. Okay? So I know it's bad to eat too many sweets. You could also say it's not good to. Both are fine. You could also say it's not healthy to, or it's not good for me to. You could also say it's bad for my health, okay? Something like that. If you say it's bad for my body, it's not wrong, but it sounds a little unnatural. It would be better to say it's bad for my health, or it's bad for me in general, okay? And then I said, I still crave donuts. So crave is a verb. Crave can also be a noun if you say craving with an ing. So you could say, I have a craving for donuts. Both are fine. You have a craving. Craving meaning a feeling, okay? I have a craving. I have this feeling that I want it, okay? And then with the verb crave, usually we just have the object. I crave donuts. You don't need to add for. So I saw a few people say crave for donuts. You don't need the word for, okay? And then I saw want to eat. That's okay, but crave is stronger. Desire to eat, that would be okay. But again, that sounds a little bit formal. Desire is not common in day-to-day use. I desire to eat donuts. It sounds a little more fancy, okay? Next up, our last sentence, it's 我太饱了，我甚至无法站起来. Oh, so this happens to me on Thanksgiving. Eat turkey, eat stuffing, eat pie, eat all kinds of stuff. Eat mashed potatoes, eat corn. eat too much food and you go, oh my God, I'm too full. I can't even stand up. Maybe you're stuck in your seat, right? I'm too full. I can't even stand up. Okay. So, like I've said a few times already, first thing is make it 2 sentences. I'm too full, period. I can't even stand up, exclamation point, okay? So in English, if we have 2 ideas, 2 sentences. If you want to put it together in one with a comma, you need a connecting word like and. You could say, I'm too full, comma, and I can't even stand up. But you need that word and, okay? The first part, I said, I'm too full. You could also say, I'm way too full. I'm so full. I'm really full. I'm very full. All of these are okay. You could also say, I ate too much. That's fine. I ate too much. You cannot say, I eat too much. Eat is present tense. That means in general, right? A habit. It happens again and again. But we're talking about one time it happened. Maybe it just happened. You just ate dinner and, oh, I ate too much. Okay? If you say eat too much, it means it happens again and again. And I don't think so. I hope not. Maybe not. Hopefully not every day. So, and remember, we're focusing on something being ridiculous or too crazy. I can't even stand up. So, I saw one sentence which was, I'm too full even though I can't stand up. So this is, we don't want to use even though here. If you say, I'm too full even though I can't stand up, that means that I can't stand up doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I can't stand up. I'm too full anyways, which doesn't really make sense. It's a little bit confusing. So we want to use just the word even, not even though, okay? Even though is kind of like although. It means something's not important, okay? I also saw, because my stomach is so full, even I couldn't stand up. Like I said before, you need to put even in front of the word you're emphasizing. So it should be, I even couldn't stand up, or I couldn't even stand up. If you say even I, it's putting a focus on I. It's meaning I am the surprising part. So you think I'm a big guy, maybe I eat lots of food, and I'm so full, even I couldn't stand up. Meaning, usually you would think I could, but even I can't. Remember, even goes in front of the word you're focused on. I couldn't even stand up, because we're focused on the standing up being the ridiculous part, okay? And just be careful of your tenses. I'm too full in your spelling. I saw I'm too full, I'm too fell. Make sure to check your spelling. Full. Just like the word though in thought, 1 letter difference, maybe your spell check won't find it because it's a real word. So if you write I'm too fall is a real word. So maybe spell check won't fix it for you. You need to read your sentences by yourself, okay? So I'm too full with a U. I'm too full. I can't even stand up. Did any of you eat a huge dinner tonight? Oh, I can't even stand up. Or when would this happen to you? Probably at Chinese New Year if you have a big feast with your family, tons of food. Oh, I'm too full. I can't even stand up. Okay. And maybe if you go to a candy shop and you try lots of different candy, buy a big bag, eat it all, and you go, oh God, I ate too much candy. I can't even move. I can't even breathe. So don't eat too much unless it's a special occasion, okay? So we saw our conversation with Bob. We tried some candy. We had the Pop Rocks. Oh, I'm in heaven. Woo! So if we have a positive personality, so positive that it's a little bit creepy, right? Woo, it's amazing. I'm in heaven. So a little bit too positive, maybe. So next lesson, you're going to take a look at when you go to this restaurant, the owner has his thumb in the soup. And if you have a negative personality, maybe you get angry about it. You go crazy. What the heck are you doing? Ah! And so we'll see if you have a bad temper, how will your day change? Maybe you don't even try the noodles and you say, forget it, and then you leave. So what happens next, okay? And so we'll go on an adventure with a negative personality next week, and we can talk about an adventure into a night market, okay? And maybe we can talk about some of your favorite night markets. And I'll tell you my favorites. And maybe you can run into me there eating too many snacks. Okay? So I think we're pretty much done for tonight. I don't see any questions from anybody. So I'll give you another minute. But I'll hang out for a few more minutes, and I'm here for a one-on-one conversation with any of you. If you would like to chat with me one-on-one for a few minutes, send a message to Kyle Moai. I'll post it in the chat. And hopefully everything went well with the stream. It's a little bit different than I'm used to because Facebook changed their settings. So hopefully everything worked fine. And thank you all for joining. Oh, send a message to Kyle Moai if you'd like to chat. I'll hang out for a few more minutes and hopefully chat with some of you. So thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a message and I'll get back to you when I can, okay? So even though it's the end of our stream tonight, I hope you had a great time. I hope you had a great night. And even if you weren't here live tonight, I still like you a lot. I'm not sure I love you guys yet, but I'll see you next time. So have a good night. Bye-bye. See you in our negative personality. Okay? Good night. Bye-bye.